How much movement during sleep is typical in an elementary schooler, and how can I tell if my child is getting quality sleep? Solid bedtime routine and appropriate bedtime are in place.
Oh, I've got this one. I think this is a very interesting question. Generally, little kids move more than grown-ups. If a child's got a solid bedtime routine and going to sleep without difficulty, that's one box you want to check, because some children who move a lot at night do have a condition called restless leg syndrome. They will complain that their legs bother them at night, but sometimes they'll just say, my feet are hot, or I feel like there's ants on my legs. Sometimes they may not say anything about them, but the parents will just notice they're fidgeting, they're kicking a lot, etc. But the key is they're having problems falling asleep as well. If a child is falling asleep at bedtime without complaint, they probably don't have restless leg syndrome. The other thing to think about is there is a newly described disorder called restless sleep disorder. This is adjacent to restless leg syndrome, but there's no sensory phenomenon in the evenings. But parents will describe their kids flopping around like a fish or helicoptering around the bed, like sort of kids whose blankets are everywhere. The key part of that diagnosis is that children are also struggling during the day. They maybe have difficulty getting out of bed, which is, again, not typical of a younger child, more typical with adolescents, or having irritability during the day, etc. If you're concerned about that, typically it's a good idea to see a sleep physician. Usually is a sleep test involved in the diagnosis, and the treatment is usually checking a blood iron marker called ferritin and treating that if it's low. So yeah, if your kid's flopping around a lot at night, they're getting what seems to be an appropriate amount of sleep, but they're having problems getting up, or they're irritable during the day, it's probably worth talking about with your pediatrician.
That's interesting.